tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiritam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Buddhirajanaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, your gospel is like nectar and bliss showered upon the pain-stricken lives of suffering humanity. It dispels all the sins and misdeeds of life. It brings spiritual welfare in life. The spiritual beauty, prosperity and grace spreads through and through one who listens to your holy words. They are the real givers who preach and pronounce the nectar of your message to the suffering humanity. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So we are on the Gospel of Ramakrishna, and page 874, Sri Ramakrishna is talking to the Dr. Sarkar. And Dr. Sarkar, in the course of discussion, Sri Ramakrishna says that money is talking about for the monks, that money is like that of a poison for a money. He should not procure money because it takes his mind off from God. And also for householders, money is a means of getting food, clothes and dwelling, and also worshipping the deity and serving holy men and devotees. So householders should have money to maintain themselves, as also to maintain the holy people, to serve them and do the puja, worship, etc. And Sri Ramakrishna continues, it is useless to try to hoard money, talking about the householders, those who hoard money, because with great labor the bees build a hive, but a man breaks it and takes the honey away. So like that, the people who hoard the money, they don't know how to enjoy their life themselves. And also their money goes in astray. Sri Ramakrishna continues that it is not a wicked son only. Dr. Sarkar said that it is not a wicked son alone. Perhaps someone is, whom shall we hoard for? Doctor said. For a wicked son, perhaps. That was the response of the Dr. Sarkar. That means they hoard money, maybe for my child, my family, they will enjoy, experience. But Ramakrishna says, but it is, even maybe he is hoarding for, he may be wicked. Son may be little so away from normal life. They may be all enjoying extravagant. And they spend money lavishly. They don't understand the value of money. So you are hoarding money for whom? Making someone to be wicked. There is one example. One gentleman gave her his son. First, he loved his son very much, so he went admitted into degree college or something like that. So he gave a very fresh card, and father was a very rich person. And the next month, the bill came. 1 month, the son has spent the credit card, $10,000. And the father was swinging his hand. What is this? What did you do? And I go for my friends, and friends always ask to seek for some going here, so I take a big car to go for seeing places, and we have lunch, and we have supper, we have this party. So it went away. See the point. His father earned the money with how much hardship? $10,000 only to spend over and above all other expenses, just for spending the money. But that means he does not understand the value of it and also didn't utilize in proper way. That's why hoarding, as Ramakrishna says, is not very good. It is not the wicked son alone. Perhaps you should not renounce lust women completely. It is not harmful for a householder to live with his wife. But after the birth of 1 or 2 children, husband and wife should live as a brother and sister. That means the relationship should be divinized. But there is no wrong to live in the world. It is attachment to lust and gold that begets pride of learning, pride of money, pride of social position. The main problem, not the objects, but our attachment to the objects. The things, same things remain, but its attitude changes. Ramakrishna said that, you see, one side, the wife, another side, the daughter, same person, have 2 different attitudes towards the same. So it is the attitude. So attachment to lust and gold, that begets the pride of learning. That tells us I am so much such and such great person of wisdom, and I am such rich person, or I am such in a social high position. One cannot attain divine knowledge till one gets rid of the pride. So money brings pride. That's also another thing. One gentleman told me, he was in his prime of his earning money. And he was multi-millionaire maybe by that time and something like that. So, or something more, I do not know how much is the money. So one day, the airline ticket, first class airline ticket he purchased, he moves like that. And one day, he had some exchange of hot debate to the counter person. The person who is in the counter, and she said, "What's your company? How much it cost? I will purchase the whole company." Pride for a few dollars money, that I am such, I can, what, you don't listen to me? I can purchase the whole company, no? So this is the point. Pride is such a thing, it's very difficult to overcome. So, Sri Ramakrishna says, is the one cannot have the divine knowledge until one gets rid of the pride. So that's why humble, humility, surrender, there's attitude as the great for spiritual life. And Ramakrishna says, water does not stay on the top of a mound, but into lowland it flows in torrents from all sides. So, spiritual knowledge to attain, you should be humble. That's why we go to our teachers with humility. That's why Bhagavad Gita said that you have to go to a teacher with humility, then you put question and surrender to them. Pariprasnena sevaya, sevaya pranipatena. Pranipata means you bow down. You bow your head to get the knowledge and wisdom. With pride someone goes, he can get the information, but he cannot get the knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom needs that. Dr. Sarkar. But the water that flows into the lowland from all sides contain good water and bad water, muddy water and ditch water. Again, there is a hollow on mountain tops as well, as at Nainital and Manas Sarovar. Those contain only pure water from the sky. Master, only pure water from the sky, that is good. Dr. Sarkar. Further, from an elevated place, the water can be distributed on all sides. Master smiling. He is supporting that ego. His little ego isn't good. Ego pride may be a good pride, no? That's why he said that water, you are saying that all in the lowland It flows good, but there's muddy thing also there. In humble, you become too humble. That is not all good, because there may be some muddy things also there. And then in the high mountain, there are springs are there. So springs will be pure water. So even in high place, there may be spring water. That means pride is not that bad. There may be something. So he's justifying that point. Sri Ramakrishna said, Master smiling, a certain man came to possess a Siddha mantra. Siddha mantra means a sacred word by repeating which one attains perfection. Siddha means which is successful, or now we call the accomplished, or what will you say? Siddha means attained, like that. So that mantra which is perfected. Perfected may be another. So he said a man came to possess certain Siddha mantras. He then went to the top of a hill and cried aloud, repeat this mantra and you will realize God. Doctor, yes, Master. But you must remember one thing. When his soul feels restless for God, a man forgets the difference between good water and ditch water. That's also happened. When a soul feels restless for God, a man forgets the difference between good water and ditch water. In order to know God, he sometimes goes to good men, sometimes to imperfect men. Dirty water cannot endure an aspirant if God's grace descends on him. When God grants him knowledge, he reveals to the aspirant which is good and what is bad. There may be hollow on the top of a hill, but they cannot exist on the hill of the wicked ego. Only if it is an ego of knowledge or an ego of bhakti does the pure water from the sky collect there. So it is ego, pride is bad, and he said that it is always bad unless it is bhakti or it is the ego of knowledge. Bhakti is I am a servant of God. That's also ego. I am Atman, I am Brahman. That's the ego of knowledge. That ego of knowledge is not bad. Or ego of bhakti, I am nothing, O Lord, you are everything. There is I am a bhakto. So what do I dare for? Swami Vivekananda saying, no. Do you know I am a servant of Ramakrishna? Who am I? I can crush the stars, unhinge the planets, no? Kurmas taraka charvanam. The taraka means the stars. I can chew the stars. Such. You can chew the stars. Stars are how big? You are a tiny man, you are saying so? But no, I can do. Why? Because I am a Ramakrishna disciple, servant of Ramakrishna. I have that power, potential power in me. Kurmas taraka charvanam, tribhuvanam utpatayama balat. By my force, I can just, utpatan means uproot, unhinge the earth and planets into the void. You can take a planet like this and throw away in the space. That is my power. Because why? Ramakrishna dasa vayam. You do not know who we are. We are the servant of Ramakrishna. So that's why my power is so much. So this is also ego. But this ego is different ego. That is the ego of money, position, wealth. So there may be thousands of reasons when people can be proud about minor things and major things, no? Even Sri Ramakrishna said that a story of a frog. Frog had one penny and one big elephant was walking. Because of the pride about the penny, he is showing his feet, to that big elephant, no? That means you do dare to come near my penny? I am such a person? No. Say a frog versus an elephant, they have the pride. That means this pride are futile pride. Pride for name, fame, power, position, beauty, celebrity. All this, anything which is temporary, it brings little ego, and that ego is a destroyer of our spiritual self. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna is saying there is wicked ego and also ego of knowledge. Wicked ego is that which takes us away from God and which feels about the momentary achievement, accomplishments. Today's, see, someone is so beautiful today, and some disease comes and something happens, he looks so lost. No? Someone is good health today, may be proud of that, but tomorrow, no? Someone may be proud of his wisdom. I'm such a scholar, big that, and something happens, memory fails, all is gone. So the situation is that these are all not very promising thing. Therefore, if we have to have ego, ego should be for servant ego. Let the ego remain. Ramakrishna said, let it be my servant ego. I am your servant. Oh Lord, you are my master. Or the ego of knowledge. I am Atman. I am not the body, not the mind. I am the Atman. I am the spirit.
Which one is a better attitude to think like that? I am Priyahin, Bhaktihin, and Jnanahin, like that, please take me, or I am that
Yeah, it depends on your own capacity. If you are a bhakta, then you will like this, and it is better to do that. If you have their too much body identity, then you should not say, I am that, I am that. But the practice one can do, it depends on the tendency. And also balance is good.
Next one, not having any inferiority complex. But with the seniors and old people, there should be always.
So it is all depending on the nature of the person. For spiritual growth, one can mature that way. If you have a tendency, and a devotional tendency, he can say, I am your servant. That will help him, because his nature is such, it can add to that. And who has the knowledge, the aspect of knowledge is more dominant, he can think, I am that. Yes, if you are sincere, everything is right. What is I am? What is the surrender? The ego to be reduced. When I say I am nothing, oh Lord, you are everything, then my ego is coming down to zero, no? And if you say I am everything, I pervade everywhere, there also not this petty ego goes away. Question is this petty ego, which identifies with my body, mind, emotion, ego, and my position, and my property, land, etc., what are all transient, no? So in consideration to that, I, the small I, and that's why very clear, small I and big I. Small I is this I with this limited body and all the features of the body connected with this and relationship with it, whatever exists. I is connected in that. I is the problematic I. We are in that I only. So how to get out of that I? Make it zero or make it vast? Swami Vivekananda and Nag Mahasaya, that was the example given, no? Nag Mahasaya was so pure and so humble that Mahamaya, the mother Maha, wanted to bind her in. And as she was trying to tighten the rope, his ego becomes so little, he goes away. Ma could not bind into Maya. And Vivekananda, I am infinite. So Mother Mahamaya wanted to bind her into the world and worldliness. But as much rope she brings, Vivekananda becomes much bigger than that. And so Mother failed. So Mother could not bind Vivekananda, neither bind the devotee who is Nag Mahasaya. So both are to zero ego. This petty ego is destroyed, and then what remains, that is the big ego. And that is no problem. And as I also suggest a common example I give, that suppose you are going to take a deep into the ocean, or so you are sitting on the beach and your wave is coming, wave is coming. How to take a dip? Either you pull your head down when the wave comes and it goes over your head, you will remain unaffected, and you jump over it and then swim over the wave and wave like that. So, but you in between, I am this, then the wave will hit and smash on the beach, and what will happen? You will break your arms and everything, and you will start crying and weeping with the ego. That's our condition. We are in between. I am this, I am that. How much we say no, pride and ego makes us feel something, and we get blows and knocks and blows from the world again and again and again. So,
can you do both at the same time? Jump and die?
The capable people can do both. Who are expert people, they can be expert in bhakti, expert in knowledge. Sometimes in bhakti, sometimes in knowledge.
At the same time, say bhakti hinapada. Same time.
At the same time, how can you do that down deep and then jump over? You can one time, one point of time you can do this, another point of time, your mood, now you may be very bhakti mood, and another moment you may be in jnana mood, no?
But in jnana mood you don't say I am your servant, right?
Huh?
I am your servant, you don't say in jnana mood.
No, that's why jnana marga.
When you are saying, that time how you are saying that
that is the internal feeling. I am physically insignificant, but I am master's servant. As the power of master will work to me. That's it. My ego is gone. You become a good conduit. Electricity can be passed through, but electricity does not go a non-conductor. But when you become a good conductor, I am your das, then you follow the army, I am the machine, you are the machinist. Exactly one can feel, my hand is moving because mother's will. If that is so, then it's his power working, and he is talking about that power, not his egocentric power. So it is not, but it is an expression of that. That's why he did so much big work. That's why Swami said, anything this mouth has uttered which has done good to the world, it is all Ramakrishna.
But this Kurmastaraka Chandvanam, he is stating out of bhakti only. It's not jnana saying.
Yeah, but that is the ripened bhakti. That's called the para bhakti, ripened bhakti.
Whereas Hanumanji had both bhakti.
Also, that's why I have told you, the deho buddhya rasosmi, when I am physically thinking I am the body, I am your servant. But when to reduce my ego, atma buddhya tamevaham, I am that, when I think I am Atman. So this is a two-state in two condition. It cannot be in one point. But when he is working in the world as a servant, he is empowered by him. So his ego is no more working. You see the person working, I see the person working, but in him there is no ego. It is God's ego is working through him. Master, but you must remember one thing. When the soul feels restless for God, a man forgets the difference between good water and ditch water, no? When actually one is so much absorbed in God consciousness, this duality gets destroyed. There may be, it is true that the water from the hilltop may flow in all directions, but that is possible only from the hill of the ego of knowledge. That when you attain Now, if being in the high level, that is Sri Ramakrishna, that's Swami Vivekananda is that. It is true that the water from the hilltop may flow in all directions, but that is possible only from the hill of the ego of knowledge. What is the hill? Is ego, that ego is not the ego of ignorance. We have the ego coming out of ignorance. But Sri Ramakrishna says his ego is built on knowledge, the supreme knowledge, the absolute knowledge. One cannot teach men without the command of God. After attaining knowledge, Shankaracharya retained the ego of knowledge in order to teach mankind. But to lecture without realizing God, what good will that do? He is talking to that movement of the Brahma movement going on. Many movements came in that time. People not realizing themselves on the teaching, as we do also. Teaching is so easy, but following is very difficult. To practice spiritual discipline is very difficult. To give sermon is always very easy. So, and also you see, that's why Indian people, if you find anywhere, anything, you say, I have some cough, 10 doctors will be giving you 10 suggestions. Probably they don't themselves, they don't follow when they are coughing, they don't do that. But they give suggestion to others. So that is, one should not, Ramakrishna said, you should realize, you should at least be sincere and practice, then it will make good impact on others. Otherwise, and it is not bad if you say, talk about God rather than mundane talk. It is much better. But that will not create a good effect, because I don't understand the thing. And I am telling you, what about that? But then, what about our reading? Our reading is difficult. Most of our sadhus are asked to give lectures and talks. That's our money. Otherwise, they will not give us food. Survival mode. But why? But what we are doing then? It is not that we are giving sermon. We are trying to understand ourselves. Reading this, I am trying to understand myself, and what I am trying to understand, I am expressing it aloud. It is not that a position of a teacher, that I know much, I am giving you the wisdom and knowledge. So there is the ego. So most of I have seen that our Lokeshwarananda Swami and others came here, when he was going to give a talk, he's feeling so nervous, as if he's a child, he does not know how to speak, And some people, Sarvadevananda Swami and others, they said that they used to come for lecture. Before that, remaining and praying, even for ordinary class, they used to pray more. That's why their words become more impact, carry more impact. Because when you lecture, you can lecture, you have big points. You may be very well accomplished, scholar. But that will not do. To touch the heart of people, if one surrenders, that I have heard from these many Swamis, our elderly Swamis, they pray. Before appearing into the podium, they pray to Mother, pray to Thakur, humble themselves, let thy will be done, they make me an instrument, like that type. And those talks touch the heart of others, because they forget themselves. Then their blessings work through them. So this is the point, the Shankaracharya, when he start preaching, he first write, by the Guru's grace his life was extended for 8 years. So he went to Benares, and there he started writing the commentaries of all these things. That time teaching was not there much. After that, when Vyasdev appeared and tested him and verified, and then said, I am pleased with your commentary. That was the intention. I wrote the verses, aphorisms. Brahma Sutra's commentary is perfect. And then now I extend your life for another 16 years. So 16 years, what he did, that was the preaching. That's why Shankara argued with Vyasadeva. Now I have done my duty. My Guru gave me the order to write the right type of explanation, and you certify that, okay, that I have done that job. Why am I to be, and I have created my disciples. They will preach. Why? What is the need of mine? Well, no. You have written enough, but a person of such experience should go and preach in the length and breadth of India. That will create an impact. That's why Shankara went all over India and preaching his Vedanta philosophy and contradicting with other philosophies which are then mixed with some sorts of misconceptions. So he then conquered everywhere, replacing the Advaita Vedanta, the Upanishadic idea, again into the soil of India, no? Against Buddhism and against these Mimamsakas, the Karmakandis, no? So Karmakanda is not the goal. Karmakanda may be the means. Buddhism, Shunyavad. Shunya is only not intellectual, but Buddha didn't end intellectualism, but he has the experience and got the nirvana, no? So he established that philosophy, going to every corner. That way, that type of teacher are world teacher. Swami Vivekananda came here. World teacher. How? They have already experienced all the samadhis, and how many times samadhi in Kashipur Garden House and in other places after Thakur's passing away also. After realizing that much, they want not to do work, but divine force worked. Shankara didn't want to work, but Vyasa came and forced him that you are extended life, you are ordained, you are meant for this duty to do. Ramakrishna said, Naren will teach, Naren shikkhe dibe. So it is a written verdict from God himself. He didn't want. He said that Ramakrishna forced me by pushing on my neck, to do his work, his mother, and he has injected in me Mother Kali, and she is making me run in all over the corners of the world. So this is called God ordained, and their impact is the worldwide impact. Vivekananda came, unknown and unnoticed, non-recognized person. They are not getting admission into the platform, And now everyone writing 20 pages of articles with philosophy, with quotation, this, that. And this man, without any preparation, and he is a fool. Does not he know that he is to speak before the audience of such a huge intellectual gathering of the time of the world? And all scholars and philosophers and everyone will be there, and he come without any preparation. What type of person is he? He's so impractical, so irrational. Yeah, that's out of fear. He was shaking that. Yeah, so I'll take next half. So not now. That means he was nervous, feeling nervous. But why he didn't prepare a note? Vivekananda does not know how to prepare a note at least, few points at least. Nothing. And what he said? I remembered the name Mother Saraswati, and then stood up. And what he spoke, he does not know probably. So this is called the God-ordained activity. And their impact is worldwide. They are the acharyas. And as many sadhus you have seen in your life, you will find those who are really deep in their practices, their words create impact in our heart. So that is the person who has gone through the experience or moving in a direction, right direction. They can give us. A 10th grade boy can give a teaching to the 5th grade school boy or girl, is it not? They need not have to have one headmaster or a high school teacher or a PhD to teach a 5th grade boy. No. So that is there. And also, anyone gives things with the ego, after some time you will find they fall down. How many good spiritual leaders come in this country and become so much flourished, and then something happens, it falls down. No? So that's the point. Sri Ramakrishna is warning, one cannot teach men without the command of God. That means in our organization we think, what is the command of God? Command from the headquarters. God established this organization, no? Ramakrishna himself is the establisher of this organization. And then his mouthpiece was Vivekananda, Brahmananda there. And they are so going on. So they entrust you, they command you. And that's why we have to do whatever they command. But we should be egoless as much as possible. What good will they do? But a lecture without realizing God, what good will that do? I went to Nanda Bhagan's Brahma Samaj. After the worship, the preacher gave a lecture from the raised platform. He had written it at home. As he read from the manuscript, he looked around. While meditating, he opened his eyes from time to time to look at people. So, they are not focused inside, they are focused outside. That's why he's saying, the Nanda Bhagan in Brahmo Samaj movement, there is one worshipper and preacher. They used to have some preacher to give a lecture, a sermon, and in a high platform. After the worship, he had written it at home. That means he's got note as we do, with written note. No? That is good for to have some consistency. We are not that prolific writers or speakers, no? That's why we make points, so that at least something is there, step by step we can follow. But this only, as we say, in the World Parliament of Religions, that's all written. And they go on reading. Road reading is boring, is it not? Most of the time, if anyone reads something, and occasionally looking at you, and you also doze off. Even with eyes open, we doze off. When someone reads only and from the text, no, from some typed manuscript, so that becomes little uninteresting. After the worship, the preacher gave a lecture, and as he read from the manuscript, he looked around. Naturally, everyone is appreciating me. So you all want that, no? To look at people's face and appreciation. While meditating, and he is meditating, he is not concentrated on God. He is seeing how many people are looking at me. I am meditating there, no? That means all the play of the ego is working inside, no? There are people, we are of different mentality, people of different mentality. We remember that there was a Belur Math people go, no? Such a holy place. Some, nowadays they don't allow much people to meditate because there is no room for them. Thousands and thousands of people are going. In our early days when we were young, so very few people used to come. So you see that there is two pianos, one on one side and another side. And on the corner, some of the devotees used to come, I noticed them, they will come and sit in the corner. And as if his face is not visible, who is doing is not visible, only someone is sitting, you can see from a distance. They are genuine sadhakas. They used to come there, sit there, hours of meditation, silently then go away. And there are others, in the Belur Math in the central part, there is a big lotus made of stone, a marble stone. It's a lotus-like granite and also some what you call white marble, alternately designed. And one person is during that was a time when the communist government challenged and declared that they will destroy our temple and make it a clubhouse because we are all what we call the parasites of the society. We are eating their money. So anyhow, so we had been given the duty to stand in the temple so that no one comes and attacks the shrine room. So we had duties. All the brahmacharis, training center classes were off, and then we are standing and guarding. Means we are seeing anyone coming. We have nothing in our hand. So if they want to go directly, we could not do anything, and we are not fighters. But when he was asked, we asked that Bireshwar, Maharaj, you are all asking us to go and stand in the temple to protect the Lord. What shall we do? We have nothing in our hand. And if they come and push us and then go, what will you do? Well, you first stand in front of Thakur. Kill me first, and then you will try to destroy that. And that's the spirit Sri Ramakrishna is living here. And that's not the point. What we are going. So during that time we used to have long time to roam around the temple, production all the time, looking all sides, who is coming, what is coming, with their hand, if there is anything, police to be informed, like that. And so one gentleman used to come, and during those days, 7-8 beads, Rudraksha beads, sitting in the center, where the center lotus is there, but the temple is open. Foreigners are coming, Indian devotees are also coming. And those days restriction of the photograph was not much. So, and he's sitting there and make big posture of his meditation posture. And then with his rosary in like that. His face is, you can feel that, and he's showing that he's doing, and occasionally looking at who is watching him going. That is his show. And what you gain out of it, God knows. But that was his show, that he used to have 1 hour sitting there, and many people click 1 or 2 photographs, and he was again doing japo and looking at that. So this is the called spiritual practice. What it will bring. You can have some joy or fun of your show that you have done great meditation and great show in the temple. So this is the point. It is the show thing is not the point. Internal prayer and humble spirit comes. Then the Spirit of God works. Many of our sadhus told me that those were hit lectures when they did that. Totally surrender, they become more nervous. That is the day they do the best lectures, because their ego totally gets wiped out and the divine will works through that. I am talking not of super Brahmogyanis, but at least those who have struggled in speaking in this country. So I went to, that's why as he read from the manuscript, he looked around while meditating, he opened his eyes from time to time to look at the people. That is the example I gave. The instruction of man who has not seen God does not produce right effect. Important. Instruction will have some effect, but right effect. Right effect will come from a genuine person who himself is practicing, who is humble, who is doing as a service, not standing in a high platform and giving advice only. He may say one thing rightly, but he becomes confused about the next. One thing he may say in the scripture, he may quote something, but while explaining he will misinterpret it in his way. That's why Samadhai, there was one devotee whose name is Samadhai, he delivered a lecture, and what he said? He said, God, quote, God is beyond words and mind. God is beyond words and mind. He is dry. Worship him through the bliss of your love and devotion. He is a teacher, no? He is teaching God is beyond words and beyond your mind, and God is dry. You have to put some honey in it. No? God is dry. What type of God is that? That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, worship Him through the bliss of your love. That means you add your love into that God, then you will enjoy it. Where will you get the love? Where will you get the juice? He's saying, that's why Ramakrishna says, just see, he thus described God, whose very nature is joy and bliss. God means Satchidananda, no? Ananda and bliss and consciousness, no? Fundamental thing. And existence, of course, is there. God's nature, why we go to God? Because we want that absolute bliss, absolute joy. But he is describing God is dry, and you put your love into it, then God will be enjoyable. Somebody give you some food which you don't like, you put some honey on it, no? And then it will be more to your palate, no? If God is like that, God is by its nature dry, according to his description, and you add your love so that God becomes sweet. So why shall I go to sweet? Sweet is already here. Why shall I worship God then? But anyhow, this is a confused statement. That's why Ramakrishna giving what he has heard directly, a sermon by a Pandit. Can you teach people anything? Can it teach people anything? Such a lecturer is like the man who said, my uncle's cowshed is full of horses. Horses in the cowshed all laugh. From that you can understand that there are no horses at all. So here, in the meantime, the devotees who had been in a rapturous state had regained their normal mood. The doctor was highly pleased with them and asked M about them. M introduced him to Poltu, the youngest Naren, Bhupati, Sarat, Sosi and other youngsters. About Sosi, M said he is going to appear for a BA examination. The doctor was little inattentive. Then the master said to the doctor, look here, listen to what he is saying. The doctor heard from M about Sosi. Master, to the doctor pointing to him, he instructs the schoolboys. Doctor, so I have heard. Master, I am unlettered and yet educated people come here. How amazing. You must admit that it is the play of God. He's saying that, you see, Ramakrishna is saying, I am unlettered person and yet educated people. Keshav Sen, the Dr. Sarkar and all Girish Ghosh, etc. People come here. How amazing. I must admit that it is the God's play. Otherwise, why people will be attracted where there is no such external show? It was 9 o'clock in the evening. The doctor had been sitting there since 6 o'clock, 3 hours, watching all these things. Girish to the doctor, well, sir, does it ever happen to you that though you did not intend to come here, you are drawn as if by a subtle force? I feel that way. That is why I am asking you. Girish Ghosh is asking to Dr. Sarkar that you are such a busy doctor. We go for invite you to see our master, but don't you feel yourself a pull to come here? That is the question. Doctor says, I don't know whether I feel that, but the heart alone knows the prompting of the heart to Sri Ramakrishna. Besides, there is not much use in speaking about it. And Dr. Sarkar does not want to speak about that, but Girish Ghosh said there is a pull of Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna pulls our heart. Whether we like it or not like, 2-3 hours they are sitting in front of Ramakrishna, totally oblivious of time, and they don't feel like leaving him. But because it is night 9 o'clock, so they are all getting dispersed by that. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. What was the marriage to Holy Mother like? What is that? Is the marriage? What is the marriage? She didn't understand anything. She was a first small girl. What she understands about marriage? In those days, this called an early marriage was a system so that there. Now that was a system. They get connected with tied with some relationship, but they don't know what is marriage. The 5-6 years girl, what she knows about marriage. And Ramakrishna was, what was mother was 7 years, no? 5 years. No, 5 years. Mother was 5 years.
It was like divine marriage.
Mother was 5 years and Thakur was 23. So it is not such. It is a divine connection. And marriage, as we understand, is a spiritual marriage. And the society, of course, that time there is a prevailing rule that they, in the early days, they get married because the parents think that there is somebody to take care of the daughter. And this is spiritually, Ramakrishna's marriage is a divine marriage because it was for the purpose of the good of the society to hold to the whole world that how marriage can be spiritual, how there will be no connection of the physical body, at the same time they have the divine love for them, ecstatic love for them. When they are married, the pujari, both of them get into ecstasy. What marriage? What is that marriage? Mother and Sri Ramakrishna staying in the Dakshineshwar in the 2 beds, and Ramakrishna is whole night in samadhi, and deep samadhi. Sometimes mother gets scared. He is dead, almost dead, no sign of life. And mother is also in ecstasy. Ramakrishna is also in. What is that marriage? That is the real marriage. What is the ideal of marriage? Called marriage in the heart to heart. Jadidam hridayam mama, the marriage principle. What is that? That which is in my heart. Idam mama. Tadidam hridayam tava. In your heart is the same reality. So same marriage between this internal Atman to Atman, that is the marriage. And how we will know that? Ramakrishna's life, Holy Mother's life shows that in this world, this demonstration, this is not a theory only, this is a practical thing. What do you think of the whole thing about preparing for disaster by large storehouse of food and supplies? I do not know all these things, but I think it is a social question. Society can decide that. Yeah, it will bring some good, maybe the disaster. When disaster happens, so we should have some good stock. How to keep check on one's own spiritual pride? That is a good question. How to keep check.
I think she asked the question long back when you were talking about people don't know how to utilize their money and all these things you were telling. So then when you are holding the things, hoarding and all these kind of things.
Hoarding for the good is good.
Yeah, because
all hoarding is not bad. Yeah, as Sri Rama, that also we have heard that. Hoarding means what? If it is used for the good purpose, of course it is good. But how many times it happens? Most of the places it does not. That's why Ramakrishna said, but oh, that's why do you think of the whole thing about preparing for disaster? Yeah, for disaster protection or for service to others, anything, that is good. How to keep check on one's own spiritual pride. Yeah, check on it means we have to check. That means occasionally we have to check. I did this. Is it my ego? Or through this God's glory will be manifesting? That the only one question, that is it for my prominence in the society, my name, my power, my position, or through this God's power, God's glory, God's name, people will be appreciating God's name. So it should reflect, this should be a reflection. That reflection should be to manifest the Lord. So every one time if we fail, our ego comes in the between, no? I say do this, you don't do that, my ego will be puffed up again. Anger will come, frustration will come. But if you say, okay, I did my duty, if it is done, done, not done, done, okay. So there is the concept. Check on our ego. Is it doing anything good or it is doing bad? Only you are pampering your ego. And the whole world is a pampering of ego. My ego versus your ego. What is the world? Always my ego should be the best and you should obey that ego. So this ego is a very, Ramakrishna said, it is like a very difficult to get out of that ego. It sprouts. You cut in one side, it sprouts in another side. And you stop that side, it goes in another side. So even the ego of humility, ego of knowledge, even in spiritual life, those egos also work. So we should be careful, we should be watchful. We may fail 100 times, but we should try all the time. Oh, it was my ego. I should not have expressed that ego. And not to express, I should wipe out from my mind. To pray for lessening my ego sense to God, that would be one way. What is the ideal of Jivan Mukti in Bhakti Yoga? Ideal of Jivan Mukti is the same in Bhakti Yoga also. Bhakto lives only for God, and Jivan Mukta means the person who is free from attachment, and aversion. So Jivan Mukti conditions are there. Jivan Mukta lives in God consciousness all the time. So his external behavior looks like our behavior, human behavior. They eat, they even scold somebody, they become angry also, but that does not touch their heart. It is just like a water in the lotus leaf, or something detached. Everything is detached. So Bhakti Yoga also will be the same. Bhakto, they don't care for name and fame, power and position, whether someone is praising them or that Sri Chaitanya says, whether all chant and sing the name of the Lord. So there, Aslishsava Padaratang Punish, to that verse, where someone embraces you or with a what is that word? Anyhow, whether you are humiliated or you are praised matters little, no? Brahmajnani lives in that way. So a bhakto, genuine bhakto also lives in that way. When a person has ego of bhakti, they can be unselfish by serving God in others. When the ego of knowledge is present and the jnani talks, how does he view the student? When a person has the ego of bhakti, they can be unselfish. And when the ego of knowledge is present, they will also should be unselfish. We are mistaking unselfishness. Ego is where? Ego is in my identify. Ego is one thing. It identifies with the body, mind, emotion, intellect, or ego identifies with God. God in this side and all this side. So all, if a devotee is surrendered to God, then ego is all connected with God, God, God. And Brahmajnani also says, I am Atman, I am Atman, I am Atman, I am Atman. So it is the same. There will be no two different. Ego will be the same. But internally they will feel the same. That is the point. How does it view the students? Jnani or Bhakta both will think that how they see through our mind, they can read our mind. And they, Jnani or a Bhakta, perfect Bhakta, both help us to remove or pull us from that level of our mind to the higher level. So both are doing the same job. How can we pray to Holy Mother with same feeling of closeness as our own mother? Yeah, so this is the answer is in your question. How we'll have to think that he is like our mother. And when we pray, we'll have to say that as if she is present here. She is listening to my prayer and she can fulfill my prayer to living presence. If we think that I am praying before a photograph, then that prayer has no meaning. But when we think that it is he is listening, he is present in the, it's a symbol of Mother, Divine Mother. So Mother is really present here, and then you pray and feel, then more tangible experiences comes. So we can feel closeness then. We have to feel the living presence. So pray to Holy Mother with the same feeling and closeness as our own mother. It is a practice. We have to think, my mother is a spark of the Divine Mother. So as I loved my mother, here is the sum total of all mothers. And that is our Divine Mother, no? So she is my own. So by praying, and when the mind will be pure, actually when the mind becomes pure, mind will feel that closeness. Does preparing too much for disaster means I am not believing in God taking care of me or living in now? Why not? We should be realistic also. When you need and you can prepare yourself for any disaster, it is better to be ready for any disaster comes, then you can take quick action. Particularly who is putting this question, she cannot see in her eyes. So she has to depend on somebody. So for you, April, it is, you should procure things for your disaster collection, no? And that does not mean that you are losing your faith in God. God has given us brain also. That brain is also God's gift, is it not? Should we keep that power of what God has given in one pocket and only say, oh Lord, help me? God will say, I have given you the intellect, you use the intellect. Why not you collect some bottles of water for disaster in any time it comes? Why not collect a flashlight, keep it in such a point, anything happens quickly you can grab it. No, God has given this simple brain. So after that you say, oh Lord, you have given me the buddhi, and I, according to that buddhi, I have collected these things, which if any disaster comes, I cannot see very well, so it will be needed, at least I can save myself, no? And then you do whatever, surrender to God. So kripa and purushakar, the self-surrender and what is called self-effort, they are not contradictory. Self-effort and self-surrender, not contradictory. Self-effort means God has given us some intelligence. So if we use that intelligence perfectly, God gifted. God has given every one of us certain idea of thinking right and wrong. After exhausting that, you pray, oh Lord, I have exhausted my power you have given. If you wish, give me, extend your power more to me, so you can surrender and it will not contradict. Okay? Thank you all.
Tomorrow Karma Yoga class.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Tomorrow, Karma Yoga class by Swami Mahayogananda at 7:30 p.m. Jai Ma.